We are recording live again from day 2 here at Advancing Prefab, and we're right in the middle of lunch. I got Ray from DPR here. Thanks for taking the time and joining the show.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. This is a great show, and I love what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks. So let's give a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, and kind of what brought you to Advancing Prefab this year.
Oh boy. So I have a background in volumetric modular real estate and a background in innovative structural systems. Kind of learn the hard lessons the hard way of what product delivery looks like versus project delivery, but then also have been fortunate enough to work around a lot of great designers and a lot of great builders and look at the way that we have kind of traditionally archaic types of deliveries. And so I now lead DPR's prefab strategy company-wide and trying to determine the best ways that we can integrate more offsite into self-performing general contractor. So I'm here at the show because there's a lot of really great people doing a lot of great things and companies that are leading the way, and we like to learn and share amongst each other how we're doing those things so that we can actually make sure that all the rising tides lift all the boats together.
Right. What's some of the big takeaways so far from the show?
Biggest takeaways, I think what I'm really liking is I'm seeing more and more industrial engineer type conversations, right? Mm-hmm. So we in the construction industry have very traditional types of roles, and other industries have the right kind of roles that really enhance our productivity and really kind of move us the right direction. And I think industrial engineers are one of them. And so it's great to see that starting to pop up in different conversations and on slide decks. And so that's one big takeaway. A second takeaway, I think, are more designers are starting to come to the show. And if we really want to make downstream impact, we have to have upstream decision making sooner. And I think that designers and owners are really a big integral part of that key enablers in doing that.
Yeah, I've been surprised at how many architects are here so far. And they kind of say it quietly, like, yeah, I'm a recovering architect or something. Try to slip it in, but yeah, I think that's a really cool thing of seeing that this event is attracting really a wide spectrum of people coming in.
That's right, yeah.
So that's really cool. So over the last couple of years, what has been some of the momentum changes or some of the kind of key evolutions of the prefab journey?
Well, I think us as an industry are really thinking about a product mindset versus project mindset and learning what that means. So, being able to look for the redundancies across different building types or even core markets, and then having kind of an agnostic approach to creating a product, and then and what that means. So the product delivery and introduction, new product development and introduction kind of concept is something that is starting to become more and more discussed, and then all that downstream, what that means. So collecting data, understanding what your time trials look like, so that you can feed that back into your overall system, I think are things that we're starting to see more and more of. And so that's great. And then there's just the way that you can display your learnings by doing continuous improvement and type feedback loops. And so we're seeing more and more data, which is great too. If you don't have goals, or you don't know where you are, you can't really figure out where you're going. So that's been a trend, I think, lately.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest friction or hurdle is in the way of really going to the next level with modular?
Traditionalism.
Yeah.
I mean, traditionalism across our industry, we can't take that for granted. There are a lot of great builders, and a lot of great designers, and a lot of great owners doing a lot of great projects. The challenge is that it's kind of the same process. So introducing new change is a difficult thing. And then I think just creating that pull is a challenging thing as well. And so the friction, though, is getting enough of the opportunity to really go deploy some of these new concepts, and having open-minded and willing teams to really drive that is a challenge as well. However, when you show the value of what we're doing with real life examples and real problem solving, that challenge there's less and less friction. And so I think that, and then also we don't get in early enough, and we've been talking about this for the last 7-8 years at these shows. But if we get in early enough, then it's really the flow goes a lot smoother. And so, I think that if we can get more designers and more owners thinking about how we do program delivery and product delivery versus project delivery, I think that we'll be able to make some big strides.
How are you on your team really helping to bring about that kind of cultural shift in mindset to not be in the we've always done it this way camp, but be open to exploring new things?
It's the here, let me show you kind of mentality, and diving in head first, being there as a teammate with project teams versus the kind of you have to do it this way kind of an approach, which it doesn't work. So, being willing to roll up your sleeves and show the value has been a great way that the team is approaching it. And then, again, back to value. If we can spend time to actually show the different variables in this value equation, that's all different, for every different client or every different building, we can, with evidence, show where the value is. That's how the team's kind of making strides right now.
How have you seen the evolution on the owners side of things to be getting more bought into prefab?
So owners are seeing that they need to quickly deploy their buildings, right, and their programs, and so I think they're seeing that by economy of scale, and economy of scale reduces some of the friction, and it also eases some of the decision making. And so I think owners are starting to see if they can help with decisions earlier and create some of the framework for the decision making for the rest of the team, then that framework is really what is of spectacular value for us. So you're seeing more and more owner engagement at an earlier time, and helping us, kind of craft the program, along the way. So I think that's one thing. Other things I'm seeing with owner groups are, a desire to, again, learn more about products, right? So, once they know that they can do multi-trade racks that are, very dynamic, and they go across all of their different building types, they're becoming more inquisitive and learning about what they can do to support teams. So it feels like a bi-directional or a symbiotic kind of approach, which I think also kind of moves towards maybe a different type of a contractual change or a contractual agreement. And so I think what I'm seeing with owner groups we're acting more and more like IPD light or design build light. And perhaps not having the real contractual terms that way, and a lot more of a the general contractor's perspective of a design assist role is really becoming more and more of a partnership versus a contract that you sign and go back to when you have to. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, what kind of education is needed to maybe debunk some misconceptions that owners have around prefab and modular?
I think that there's a misconception that it costs a lot more, but the reality is it can cost a lot less if the right framework is set up.
Yeah.
I think that there's a myth that you get a box. All you get is some crummy looking box, and the art and architecture is there. It's still there, and always and will be there. And as we mature more and more on this industrialized construction journey, the optioneering is out there, which is amazing. We've seen a lot of really neat conversations over the last couple of days about generative design, right? Generative design is an enabler to all the optioneering of what's out in our ecosystem. And so I think that the stigma of prefab being kind of a one-size-fits-all solution is no longer here, and if it comes up, I think it's our responsibility to show the evidence that that's a consideration or a thought of the past.
So yesterday during Amy's keynote, she talked about the expected experience of construction. From your vantage point, what's possible with the expected experience for construction?
Well, I think that we've been saying this for 15 years now, but what you draw is what you get, and now it's really what you model is what you get, and we need, what we would expect is to get to a high level of detail, LLD 400 plus, where you have model to machine workflows. So, for example, if we've spent all this time doing clash coordination and yet we have these dummied objects, you're not really getting what you've modeled or drawn. And what we need to have is the real strut assemblies, the real light gauge framing, the real MEP, pipes and fittings and couplings. We need what it's exactly there. And so I think that the expectation is, if we can skip some of the archaic nature of how we handle our documentation from hand to hand to hand, and if we had a true digital asset that gave us the ability to manufacture or have a production type approach and a production system from the model, then I think that would be a massive improvement. So that's what I expect. That's what our path is, and that's what we'll see within the next, I think, 1 to 3 years, really.
Yeah, nice. That's a short timeline. I like it.
Yeah, we're a little aggressive, but setting some lofty expectations or BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, I think is a way that we get there. But there has to be a really well designed out, objectives and key results kind of a path on the 1 year increment. But I feel like we're getting there.
Yeah. So what are kind of the first couple dominoes to fall in order to make that reality?
I think it's the concept of productization, and I think our industry understanding what that means, and then building the capabilities within our work groups to do some of the off-cycle product development, meaning don't have a project specific opportunity that drives some kind of product creation. It's really more of the investment that builders or the investment that designers and owners need to make in order to do the off-cycle product development. So that's challenging because our industry, we kind of reinvest 1 to 2% of our bottom line into product R&D and just R&D in general, whereas automotive is doing upwards of 8 to 10%, and even some companies are even more. And so, I think
difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, and it's still a problem. So the first domino to fall is reinvestment in the bottom line.
Yeah. What's currently really piquing your interest in the prefab world?
Right now, piquing my interest, all of it. Love it. That's a bad answer, but I think what's piquing my interest right now is building tools, but also more importantly, building people. We need to build people across the spectrum, from all these different capabilities that we know will advance prefab. So, people, process, and tools are what pique my interest right now.
So on the people side of things, one of the obviously the huge hurdles in construction is getting people into the industry. How have you found success in trying to bring people in from outside?
Yes and no, and more so on the no side. I think it's challenging when we see similar qualities or capabilities that we want in people like industrial engineers, for example. It's hard to recruit or attract and recruit and hire and inspire people that are from different industries right now. However, when we have events like this and we start inviting people from different industries out or to events like Advancing Prefab, I think we're starting to see some of the light bulbs go off. So, but yes, on the other side, we have been able to recruit people from the automotive industry and from maritime in some cases, and also agricultural that may have more of a production kind of mindset or manufacturing mindset. And so, so it's happening, but it's not happening as fast as I think I would like it. But it's okay.
Yeah, slow and steady. Yeah, bite-sized improvements is good.
How do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
That's right. Yeah. So one of the kind of core themes of the show is around innovation in construction. What does innovation mean to you?
Oh boy, innovation is a variety of things. I think we're seeing a lot of robotic-related innovation, which are helping us with our field side of improvements, whether it's laser scanning or layout machines or drilling drilling machines or robots. There's some really great innovation there, but I think there's also a lot of innovation up front in virtual design, where we're getting smarter and smarter about the data that we're using and consuming, as well as how we're leveraging the data in order to be more efficient in some of the design decision making, as well as just the visualization. I think there's great innovation in simulation efforts as well. So which draws what you get, but you have to also show people how it works. And so simulation is certainly an area where we're getting smarter and smarter. So I think those are some of the focus areas right now.
Yeah, nice. How do people find out more information and connect with you?
Oh, well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Ray Boff, DPR's national prefab leader. And I think that's probably the best way. There are a couple of YouTube videos that are out there and great podcasts like this, right?
Yeah, there you go. Very cool. Well, last question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing, what would you choose to innovate?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. What would I choose to do? So if I was CEO of the world, what would I do right now?
Yep.
I would go to Gemba, and so I would take people, whoever it is, our group, directly to the spot of where we need to improve, and walk them all along the whole process. And so you got to see it with your own eyes, you have to feel it with your own hands, you have to breathe it with your own lungs, and I think that's what I would do. Get the right people together, this right group together, and I would go to Gemba.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. All right.